Hello everyone, and it is me, James the Man's Man, back here in the Man's Kitchen. And since last week, we have passed 300 subscribers, and I did it a day early. But nobody commented below on my last video telling me anything that they want to see me make as a viewer request challenge. So, I'm leaving it open. If there's still anything you want to see me make, go down to the comments below and write it in. If there's only one, it's guaranteed to be yours. If there's more than one, I'll have to pick. Now, with that out of the way, let's start up this week's video. And we're back from that intro. Now, if you like today's video, hit the like button, and if you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, that way you can follow me online and see all kinds of pictures and comments and posts that we put up. Also right now on the Facebook, we are uploading the entire second year's content, one video a day until we're out of videos. Since we just hit our second year anniversary, the second year content goes up on Facebook. Just like we, a couple months ago, uploaded all of our first year's content to Facebook. Alright, now with that out of the way, what are we doing today? Well, just as the title implies, we are going to make a lasagna soup. And I'll explain a little bit about it and show you the ingredients next. Alright, so as I said, I would explain a little bit about the lasagna soup, and I'll do that as we go through the ingredients. I already have my onions and my garlic diced up. I have one onion in here. I have half a clove of garlic here. And remember, if you don't know how to prep up simple ingredients like this, then watch my culinary skills playlist where I go over different ingredient preps. The reason why I did that is so that way we're not wasting time here in this video with you watching me dice onions and me trying to come up with boring stories to keep you entertained, when we can just get straight to the cooking. I have half a pound of ground beef. I have 2 Italian sausages, casing removed. 1 can crushed tomato. 1 can tomato paste. 4 liters chicken stock. I actually have it this week. Fresh basil. Dried oregano. Chili flakes. Kosher salt. Pepper. Cheddar cheese. Ricotta cheese. And noodles. These noodles I just boiled up ahead of time, and I cut some of them up. We're going to try 2 different styles of noodle in our soup today. Some of them are just going to be boiled noodles, and some of them we're going to fry up to look like this, and we're going to use this as garnish. I also fried up a little noodle because I'm not sure what will be better, the fried noodle or a boiled noodle inside of the soup when we're done. Now, we have a special guest star. Oh yeah, we have a special guest star. Oh, G-Man wants to get into the camera for a second. Yes, he does. Alright, now that G-Man's here, it's official. We can get into the cooking. Okay, everybody, I have my pot preheated. So we're going to add our onions and our garlic into it. I'm going to start out with a little sunflower oil, because that's my oil of choice. But by all means, use some olive oil if you want. I've got some olive oil. I just don't particularly like olive oil. Okay. I'm going to add our onion. And our garlic. up to medium heat. I had it just sitting on a low heat so I wouldn't get too hot while I was heating it up. And we're going to sweat off those onions and garlic, just like we've been doing over the last couple of weeks when we, just like we did with the spaghetti and meatballs, just like the spaghetti and meatballs a couple of weeks ago. We're going to sweat the onions and garlic off, just like that. So I'm just going to let this go on a medium heat for about 2 or 3 minutes, and I'll get back to you when that's ready. Alright, I have my pot contents here, all sweated off and almost on the verge of caramelizing. So we're going to add our ground beef into the mix. And 2 Italian sausages, casing removed. Now it's really important to take the casing off, or you're going to have 2 whole sausages in here. If you take the casing off, it's basically going to act like ground beef. It's going to mush up into little bits. We're going to use our heat-resistant spatula. You know most of your spatulas are heat-resistant when they're mostly red. Red ones, generally a sign that it's heat-resistant. So I could have picked everything with my hands and broken it all up first. Or I could just stab it all up like a serial killer. Okay. Let's give everything up a good break apart here. Okay. You don't want to leave any really big chunks. Okay. Now I am gonna, at this point, I'm going to put a little salt and pepper in here. Okay, I'm not going to go crazy. Just like remember last week when I did the ground beef, not the ground beef, but the beef stew, I didn't put any salt and pepper until near the end. Because I cooked it down for 2 hours. Well, I'm not going to be cooking this soup down for this soup down for 2 hours. So I don't really have to worry about concentrating the flavors too much. So it's okay to put a little seasoning in right now. Okay? And I want to talk to you about that for a second here while I brown this up. Seasoning is not to be confused with all kinds of things. Okay? If you just go by the classical definition, the only 2 things that are used for seasoning are salt and pepper. Okay? So there's 3 ways that we add flavor to stuff. We season it with salt and pepper, and you've added too much salt when you taste the salt. Salt is just supposed to bring out and enhance the natural flavors of things. If you taste the salt, you've went too far. Herbs. Herbs are another way that we can add flavor. Like in this, we're going to add the dried oregano and the fresh basil. So those are 2 herb ways to add flavor. And the last one is with spices. Now, I'm not going to use any spices in this recipe. I'm just going to use seasoning and herb. And I would encourage you to try and at least use 2 methods every time you cook. Well, actually, you know what? You could call the chili flakes. Yeah, I guess you could call them a spice. So yeah, we're going to be using all 3 different methods today, but I encourage you whenever you cook to try and at least use 2. Use seasoning and herbs or spices or both. Okay? And this is going to need just a couple more minutes to brown off, so I'll bring you back when this is done. Okay, so it's been a few minutes and the meat has all browned off. Now, if you're using lean ground beef, I wouldn't worry about draining out any of the fat in here. There shouldn't really be enough that you have to worry about it. And remember that fat is flavor. So I'm going to add my can of crushed tomatoes. Use our spatula to try and get all of the crushed tomato out. We're also going to add our can of tomato paste. Oh, the spatula just fits. Kinda. It's stuck. Oh, it's stuck. There it goes. So we're going to get a little spoon. Oh yeah, spoon's full in here. Okay. Mix this up. And at this point, we have a ridiculously thick meat sauce, or I guess a ragu. We're going to add our 4 liters of stock. And at this point, I'm going to switch off of the spatula. I'm going to grab myself a whisk. And this is one of the reasons why I like to use my stainless steel pot, because I don't have to worry about scratching it. If this were a Teflon pot, a non-stick pot, I'd really have to be careful not nick the edges. Okay. Now, off camera, well, on camera actually, I recorded another culinary skill on how to chiffonade basil, but I'm posting that up on Instagram. So I'm going to grab my freshly chiffonade basil and I'm going to put some of it in here now. I have about 4 leaves of basil that I just chiffonaded. Okay, the rest of the basil we're going to use afterwards. I'm also going to add the oregano leaves. Okay, those are there. Give that a whisking. And I'm going to bring this to a boil, and then I'm going to want to simmer it just for about 15 minutes or so. In the meantime, I'm going to get my rondeau type pot here. It's got about a 1/4 inch of water in it, or of oil in it. And if you've noticed, there's a kid running around the house, so I'm going to keep the handle off of the edge. I'm going to turn this on to about a 5. I'm going to bring it up to temperature, and we're going to fry off those noodles once that gets to temp. Now the soup's going to get finished in the broiler. So we're going to, on the oven, press the broiler and start. And for my oven, it tells me to keep the door closed. In some ovens, you want to keep your lid, there's actually a stop when you open the oven door. I don't know if you've noticed, but some of them have like a stop about 1/3 of the way open. That's actually where your oven door is supposed to be when you run the broiler. I'm just going to adjust my rack level height right now, and I'll get back to you once we're ready to start frying up those noodles. Alright, my oil is just getting hot. I'm going to turn it down because I don't want it to get hotter. I just want it to stay where it is. And let's review a little bit. I've sweated off my onions and my garlic. I've browned off my ground beef and my Italian sausage. I've added my crushed tomatoes, tomato paste, and stock, all next to this in my pot. It started to boil, so I've turned it down to low. On the oven side of things, I have the broiler getting hot. And over here, my oil is ready to go, so we're going to start frying up. When you put stuff in the fryer, sit it in gently and away from you. If you put it towards you, you could splash yourself. Okay? Don't overload it and do too many at once. Just going to do about 6 of these. Okay, I'm going to grab some paper towel to sit them on when they come out. They look a lot more brown on the camera than they do in real life. See, they're still relatively flaccid. But there's nothing wrong with giving them a little flip because the tops of them they're not fully submerged. So you can flip them. Just be careful not to splash yourself. Remember, this is deep fryer hot grease. Okay, grease, oil, fat, whatever you want to call it, it's basically grease. Whether it's vegetable oil, olive oil. I wouldn't do this in olive oil. Olive oil has too low of a flash point. It would actually be smoking by now if this were olive oil. Peanut oil has a very high flash point, for those of you wondering. Peanut oil makes excellent deep fryer oil, but peanut oil is also ridiculously expensive. Okay, so we're just going to let that go. Couple more. How does it look on the camera? Oh, they look gorgeous on the camera. You guys must think that these are completely done, but they're not. They're not even really close. They're about halfway. Okay. One more flip. I mean, really, I probably don't need to be flipping them this time, but I've got nothing else to do. They're so close. Yeah, I'm really just playing with them now. But this is the basic setup. I have a 1/4 inch of oil in here. I got a nice medium low flame to maintain my oil temperature. And now that they're just starting to hold their shape, I'm gonna pretty much just give them another half a minute. Now they're starting to hold that stiffness when you take them out. I give them about a half a minute and then I'm gonna pull them out. And then we'll fry up some of the long ones. Now when you cook your noodles ahead of time, if you don't want them to stick, just give them a little light toss in some oil. And we're going to take these out now. Okay, just give them a little shake off as you pull them out. Okay, we're going to grab some of these long ones. I think we can fit about 4 of these in. And the procedure is going to be the exact same. So, I've already shown you once how to do this. I'm going to turn the camera off and I'll get back to you when I'm finished frying these all up. Okay everybody, the frying is over. We're going to taste it one more time. I added a little more salt and pepper while I was off camera. It's got a rich flavor for being cooked so quickly, and that's mostly from the Italian sausage. That gives off a lot of flavor. We get a little bit of meat on this spoon. Alright, So, the next step is going to be to get some into a bowl and get this ready to go into the oven. So, got myself a pizza pan with some tin foil on it, a ladle, okay, now this is where we have our options. Now most of the recipes I saw had them just put some noodles in. And they recommended penne or, so just do one. Recommended penne or bow tie if you didn't want to use lasagna noodles. But I used some lasagna noodles, and I have a feeling I'm going to like the fried ones more, so I put one boiled noodle in just to check it out. And we're going to put a couple fried noodles in. Now, we're going to sprinkle some cheese on here. Okay. We're going to brown this under the broiler, and I'll get back to you right after we're finished. So this is what I have. I have my soup in here with 2 fried noodles and 1 boiled noodle and some cheese. I'm going to brown this under the broiler, and we'll do the taste portion after this comes out. Alright everybody, so now we're just going to garnish it up before we actually taste it. So I'm going to start with maybe putting our 2 long fried noodles in the corner there. Now, do you know what a quenelle is? We're going to quenelle this ricotta cheese if we can. And it's basically, put it in a spoon and pass it. No, it's not really going to work. The idea is you pass it between the 2 spoons so it kind of shapes more like a football. So instead, we're just going to put maybe a little more. I like ricotta. I'll put a little bit more like that on. Now we're going to sprinkle on Parmesan cheese, or some more fresh basil. And we're going to taste this up in 1 quick second. Alright, I just had to snap a couple pictures of this before I dived right in. So let's look for one of these noodles. No, not one there, but... that cheese is nice and melted. I have a fried noodle here. It's covered in cheese. It's almost like eating nachos, where that fried noodle was. This is the boiled noodle. The boiled only noodle, I should say, because the fried noodles were boiled. You're probably going to want to cut them in half long ways before you start cutting them off, because this does hang over my spoon. It's cool for the effect, but now you have to eat the whole thing at once. Or use a knife to eat your soup. Yeah, I would definitely recommend taking the extra 10 minutes and frying up your noodles. Remember, you can fry up all your noodles in a couple batches, and then you can set them off to the side in an airtight container till you run out of soup. And that way, you've got all your prep done. Now I've got a pot of soup that should last me close to a week at home. I'm going to finish frying up the rest of the noodles now that I've decided that's the best way to go. Oh! Special guest star all over again. He's here. Little G-Man. So G-Man, we're going to fry up the rest of those noodles after. I'm going to get you some lunch now. And I'm definitely saying that the lasagna soup is a classic hit. Wouldn't you say so, buddy? You want some lasagna soup for lunch? Huh? You want some lasagna soup for lunch? Alright, well, if you like this video, hit the like button. And if you like my channel, hit the subscribe button, or you're going to make him upset.